Some words sound soft, but cut like knives. They seem harmless, but they're the perfect disguise for a betrayal already in motion. Because when a woman lies, she doesn't need to raise her voice or run away from home. All she needs is to choose her words carefully and count on you staying asleep. You know what's most twisted? That while you're trusting her tenderness, she's already acting on her freedom. She doesn't have to admit her desire for someone else. She just needs to convince you that nothing's going on. And when you swallow those words without question, you become the perfect accomplice to your own humiliation. Today, I'm going to reveal 9 phrases, 9 behaviors, 9 verbal codes a woman throws out when she's no longer choosing you, but still needs you as an emotional crutch. And the last one, the most dangerous of all, is the one most men still confuse with love. I'm Celia. I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to open your eyes. Stay until the end. Because if you recognize even one of these phrases, you can't keep living like you don't know the truth. Have you ever been lied to while someone looked you straight in the eye and you felt it, but chose to believe them anyway? Not out of naivety, out of love, out of habit, out of fear of losing something that, deep down, was already gone. That's the quietest betrayal a man can experience. Not the one that screams, but the one dressed up as normalcy. And if you don't know how to read between the lines, if you don't hear what's behind certain words, you become a man tamed by soft phrases, while reality eats you up inside. We're at the first point in this video, and it's one of the most common, most dangerous, and most ignored. Why are you acting so weird? That question isn't a sign of concern, it's a reversed mirror, a reflection. When a woman says that to you, she's not worried about you. She's unsettled because you've started to sense her lie. Because without saying a word, you've started to change. You stopped touching her with the same passion. You stopped asking with the same urgency. You became quieter, more observant. And for a woman hiding something, that's unbearable. She needs you to stay the same, the trusting one, the devoted one, the one who suspects nothing, because as long as you're emotionally asleep, she can keep playing her double game without guilt. But the moment she senses that you're seeing through her, she gets nervous, not out of love, out of fear that her mask is slipping. And that's when she throws you that question, disguised as tenderness. Why are you acting so weird? To pull you back into explaining yourself, to make you feel like you're the problem, to get you to apologize for doubting her instead of confronting her for lying. I've seen it 1,000 times in my sessions. Men show up broken, asking themselves where they went wrong. And when we rewind their story, there's always a similar scene. A woman says that line just as they, without any evidence, begin to feel the distance, because the body doesn't lie, and the soul, even less. You may not have a message, a photo, a confession, but your masculine instinct knows. It knows when she's no longer there. It knows when she looks at you differently, when she kisses you in a rush, when her silence isn't peace, but disconnection. That phrase, "Why are you acting so weird?" isn't a question. It's a warning. It's a sign that she's already noticed you've changed. And that change unsettles her, because she needs you to keep being functional, useful, emotionally available. But you're not there anymore, because something in you, even if you can't explain it, already knows something's broken. And if you, instead of trusting that instinct, choose to go back to the submissive version of yourself, you lose respect, desire, and dignity. So next time you hear that phrase, don't justify yourself. Don't explain your weirdness. Embrace it, because the weird thing isn't your suspicion. The weird thing is that you put up with her for so long without seeing her for who she really is. And if she's unsettled by your change, it's because she can't control you like before. And that, painful as it is the first sign that you're waking up. If a woman starts getting uneasy because she senses you're acting off, it's not because she cares more. It's because she no longer controls you the way she used to. That's the first tremor in her emotional structure when she's hiding something. But what's truly revealing comes next, when she tries to shut down your suspicions with a phrase that sounds like love, but is actually one of the most common lies women use when they're in the wrong. We've reached the second key point of this video. You have no reason to doubt me. A woman who says that isn't offering you peace of mind. She's demanding emotional obedience. Because if you doubt her, you threaten her illusion of innocence. And she needs to maintain that image. She needs you to keep seeing her as someone incapable of betrayal, even when she already has or is about to. The Stoic knew the real danger isn't in what's obvious, but in what hides behind what looks noble. And this phrase, "You have no reason to doubt me," is exactly that. Fake nobility designed to silence you while she stays free. Female psychology doesn't need to be aggressive to dominate. It's subtle, enveloping, skilled at using your own desire for peace as a weapon against you. When a woman throws that phrase at you, she's flipping the burden of proof. She doesn't have to show she's loyal. You have to justify why you don't trust her, and that's how she traps you. Because instead of continuing to observe clearly, you start doubting yourself. Am I being unfair, you wonder? But no, it's not unfairness, it's intuition. And if you don't learn to trust your own perception, you'll keep living in a sugar-coated reality until it crumbles in front of you. I've seen hundreds of men break because of this. Good men, loyal men, who swallowed that phrase with guilt, who, faced with the line, "You have no reason to doubt me," chose to stay silent, chose to give in, chose to look the other way, while another man was looking at her with desire. And when everything blew up, when the truth came out through evidence, messages, and bodies shared outside the home, it was too late. Because they had already betrayed themselves for months, sometimes years, just to avoid being seen as distrustful. But trust doesn't mean closing your eyes. Trust isn't handing over your emotional power just because someone speaks sweetly. A mature man doesn't believe in words. He watches actions. He listens to pauses. He reads silences. The Stoic man doesn't need external proof when his soul is already speaking to him, because the masculine soul, when it hasn't been numbed by routine, has a natural radar for lies. Only we've been taught to disconnect from it, to think that doubting is a sin, that mistrust is a lack of love, when in truth, doubt is the purest act of self-respect, when there's reason for it. So if she ever told you, "You have no reason to doubt me," and deep down, you felt otherwise, remember this. A woman who needs to say that isn't defending her honor. She's protecting her alibi. And you, if you still want to be respected, can't keep giving away trust without truth. Because trust can't be demanded. It has to be backed by action. And if there's no action, all that's left is an empty phrase, echoing over and over, while her desire finds shelter elsewhere. When a woman tells you that you have no reason to doubt her, what she's really doing is planting a seed in your mind, that the doubt is yours, that you're the problem, that the emotional distance you feel is just in your head. And if you accept that frame, if you step into that game of justifications, you take one more step away from your instinct, and one step closer to self-deception. But there's another phrase that's even more dangerous, one that doesn't just try to defend her image, but to elevate it. One that's not satisfied with hiding what she does, but needs you to see her as something special. We've reached the third key point of this video, and it's when she says, "I'm not like other women." This is one of the most seductive weapons in the female mind, because it plays to your ego, your desire to believe you found something different, unique, rare. And when you think you're in front of a different kind of woman, you drop all your defenses, you trust more, you give more, you justify more. But you know what's most twisted? That phrase doesn't show up when everything's going well. It appears when you start to doubt, when something feels off, when you sense a shadow, but she needs you to keep seeing light. So she throws out that line like it's sacred truth. "I'm not like other women," as if that alone could erase your suspicions. This is where you need a practical but crucial strategy. When a woman tells you she's not like the others, don't respond with compliments. Don't melt. Don't believe her. Not yet. Watch her. Stop the emotional game. And see if her actions back up her words. Because a truly different woman doesn't say it. She shows it. She doesn't need to declare she's special. She is, and that's enough. And if you're not awake, you'll end up believing the promise, without ever seeing the proof. This strategy is grounded in something simple. The human mind craves consistency. If someone says something, you expect them to follow through. But the female mind can say what it feels in one moment and do the opposite the next day, not out of malice, but out of impulse, emotional need, inner disconnection. And if you don't learn to detach from the verbal charm, you'll become addicted to what she says, even if what she does is slowly destroying you. A real example, a man once came to a session convinced his woman was different from all the rest. She told him that 1,000 times, and he believed her. But while she was saying that, she also maintained a blurry friendship with an ex. "We just talk," she said. "Don't worry, I'm not like the others." And he, trapped by the phrase, ignored his own discomfort. Until one day, he found the messages. Nothing explicit, no direct confessions, but there was desire, flirting, passive seduction. And then he got it. Yes, she was different, just not in the way he thought. She was different in how she lied. So next time a woman says she's not like the others, don't respond with admiration, respond with silence, with a steady gaze, with presence. Because a real man doesn't fall for words, he falls for action. And if those actions never come, then she is exactly like the others, just better at hiding it. Before we go on, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit like if this content is striking a chord with you. Comment which country you're watching from and drop one sentence below. I won't be fooled anymore. There are still key lessons ahead, and the last one could change the way you see everything you've lived through with a woman. If you let yourself be seduced by sweet words, soft gestures, and that supposed uniqueness she claims to have, you end up disconnecting from your own judgment. And when a man's judgment falls asleep, manipulation slips in without resistance. But there's an even more critical point, one that appears right when you try to confront her, when you feel something's off and you dare to speak up, even if it's with hesitation, even if it's with fear. In that moment, she doesn't defend herself with anger, she defends herself with victimhood. We've reached the fourth key point of this video, and it's, "You're overreacting, it was nothing." This phrase is a psychological weapon aimed straight at your self-esteem, because it doesn't just deny what you saw, what you felt, it forces you to doubt yourself. It makes you think the problem isn't what happened, but how you interpreted it, that you're imagining things, that you're too sensitive, that you're creating drama out of nothing. And that's where the real damage begins, because now you're not doubting her, you're doubting yourself, your intuition, your inner strength. And when a man starts mistrusting himself, he's at the mercy of someone who knows exactly what they're doing. The trap is almost perfect, because she doesn't outright deny everything, she just downplays it, turns it into nothing. A message, a late-night outing, a call at a strange hour, it all becomes harmless. It was just a conversation. You're being paranoid. And you, not wanting to seem jealous, not wanting to be controlling, you back down. You give in, you go quiet, you convince yourself that maybe you are overreacting. And just like that, what started as a healthy boundary turns into subtle resignation. And every time she throws that phrase at you, your ability to take action fades a little more. This mistake, believing you're overreacting when your body knows you're not, is one of the most destructive you can make, because it plants doubt like a slow poison, a poison that makes you justify the unjustifiable. That leads you to tolerate the intolerable, out of fear of being wrong, out of fear of losing her, out of fear of looking weak. But the real weakness isn't in feeling, it's in silencing yourself, in shutting down your truth so someone else doesn't feel uncomfortable. The consequences are brutal, because you don't just lose respect, you lose presence. You become a man who hesitates before speaking, who measures every word to avoid conflict, who swallows pain just to keep the peace, and while you're falling apart inside, she keeps moving forward, keeps exploring, keeps testing how far she can go without you reacting, because she no longer has to lie. All she has to do is say you're overreacting, and you take care of silencing the conflict yourself. A woman who behaves like this doesn't want clarity. She wants space. Not physical space, psychological space to move freely without consequences. And if you don't understand that, if every time she minimizes something you believe her, you become a man incapable of setting boundaries. And without boundaries, there's no respect. And without respect, there's no desire. So next time you hear that phrase, don't argue, don't explain, just look at her, breathe, and remember, if you felt it, if something inside you lit up like an alarm, it wasn't an overreaction. It was your soul speaking to you, and you can ignore it once, twice. But if you keep doing it, you'll end up being the man who no longer knows if what he's living is love, or just manipulation disguised as affection. After hearing her say, you're overreacting, that what you saw means nothing, many men make the worst possible move. They lower their guard, and that's when they enter an even deeper, more destructive emotional cycle. Because once she's convinced you that your boundaries are just overreactions, she's ready for the next step, asking for freedom. But she doesn't frame it as a breakup. She frames it as a spiritual quest, as if she's going through some existential crisis. We've reached the 5th point of this video, and it's when a woman says, I need space, time, clarity. She doesn't say it with anger. She says it calmly, in that almost sacred tone that emotionally domesticated men freeze in front of. And you, if you're still asleep, think it's just a phase. That she needs to reconnect with herself, that she's confused. But she's not confused. She's planning, rehearsing, opening the door to a new world where you're no longer the main character. And the cruelest part is that she doesn't say it outright. She leaves you there, waiting, like an emotional piece of furniture that must remain available, just in case she decides to come back. The consequences of accepting this passively are brutal. You lose respect, desire, your identity, because the man who agrees to let a woman take some time while he stays available becomes a weak figure, a support system, a spectator in her life. And once she's done tasting whatever she wanted, if she decides to come back, it's not out of love, it's out of convenience, because she knows you're still there, waiting like a loyal dog. And the worst part isn't whether she comes back or not. The worst part is that by allowing this, you become a man who's training himself to be forgotten, who accepts not being chosen, who accepts being an option, not a priority. But this can be reversed, not with empty promises, not with speeches, with a decision, just one, internal, unshakable. The day a woman tells you she needs space, you don't ask how much, you don't ask why, you simply say, take it, but I won't be here waiting. That's the difference between a man who lives in need and one who lives with self-respect. The first one begs, the second one decides. And when you decide not to be someone's second choice, something shifts. In her, maybe. But more importantly, in you. The mindset you need isn't one of revenge, it's one of clarity. She can do whatever she wants, but you decide whether you stay available. And if you choose to stick around, then you don't get to complain. Because what you allow, you validate. And if you validate a woman putting you on pause while she lives her freedom, then you're not being a man. You're being an emotional guarantee. And no woman truly desires that. She uses it, discards it, forgets it. So next time she says she needs time, you need something too. To look in the mirror and tell yourself the truth. That you can't keep living like a pit stop in someone else's journey, because the man who accepts being an option ends up being nothing. And you, if you're here, it's because deep down you still want to be chosen. But for that to happen, you have to choose yourself first. When you finally decide not to wait, when you tell her that if she needs space, she can have it, but you're no longer available, something realigns inside you. You cleanse yourself of years of emotional obedience. You stop begging for affection disguised as spiritual reflection. But don't think the manipulation ends there. Because if she senses you're pulling away, that you've lost your fear of being alone, she'll try to get you back, not through desire, but through disguise. And one of the oldest, most used, and most dangerous disguises is this: we're just friends. We've reached the 6th point of this video, and if you don't see what's behind that phrase, you'll fall like thousands of others do, confused, resigned, and broken inside. Picture this: you're at home. Something already feels off. A name that keeps coming up in her conversations. A message that arrives late at night. a different smile when she's on the phone. And when you ask, when you dare to bring it up, she responds in that calm, slightly offended tone. "Oh, babe, we're just friends." And instead of clenching your jaw, instead of digging deeper, you swallow it. Because you don't want to seem controlling, because you have no proof, because she got ahead of you and played the perfect emotional trap, downplaying with sweetness, defending with tenderness, and you became a willing accomplice to your own deception. Now picture another scene. She goes out, dresses up, does her makeup, but not for you, for that friend. She comes home with a smile you haven't seen in months. And when you look at her with suspicion, she says you're being insecure, that the guy is like a brother, that nothing would ever happen. And you know what's the most painful detail? Maybe nothing physical has happened yet, but everything important already has. She's already chosen him as her emotional refuge. She listens to him more than to you. She admires him more than she admires you. She desires him in silence, while giving you excuses. Because when a woman says we're just friends, what she's really saying is, I want to keep this connection open without feeling guilty. And if you don't see that, if you don't face it, you become the guardian of her emotional infidelity. She doesn't need to cross the line with her body. She's already crossed it with her mind, with her soul, with her desire. And you're still there, convincing yourself that everything's fine. Phrases like that aren't innocent. They're strategies, because if she gets you to believe her, she's got a free pass. And while you're working, cooking, paying bills, another man is keeping her alive. And you don't notice it because there are no kisses, no compromising photos, no confessions. But there are messages with hidden meaning. There are laughs you're not part of. There's a fire lighting up in her, but it's not for you anymore. Here's the truth. When a woman feels the need to clarify that someone is just a friend, it's because she already feels guilty, because she already knows there's something to hide. If it were truly harmless, it wouldn't need defending. There'd be nothing to explain. So don't be fooled by appearances. Don't become the man who accepts the presence of another just because he can't prove anything yet. Because if you stay stuck in that pattern, you'll end up sharing a bed with someone who's already sharing her soul with someone else. And that, my friend, can't be fixed with flowers, or patience, or more love. It's fixed with boundaries, with clarity, with strength. Because the man who tolerates we're just friends, while her desire slips into another body, ends up being a man present in the house, but absent in his own story. If you've made it this far, you can't say you didn't know. You can't look at that woman with the same innocence as before, or keep justifying her words as if they were harmless details. Because every phrase she throws, every masked behavior, is part of a clear pattern, and if you recognize it, but stay silent, then the problem is no longer her, it's you. And this is where your dignity is on the line. Because the man who tolerates ambiguity ends up becoming invisible. We've reached the 7th point of this video, and it's the most painful, the most final. You've changed too. That phrase isn't seeking understanding. It's trying to share the blame. It's an emotional move to balance out the weight of her betrayal. Because if she can convince you that her coldness, her distance, her emotional or physical infidelity was a result of your change, then she has the perfect alibi. She doesn't have to own anything. She can say she tried, that she fought for it, that you're the one who wasn't the same anymore. And you, if you're not awake, you believe it. You absorb it. You take on guilt that isn't yours. And from that moment on, you stop being a man. Because a real man doesn't let his growth be used as an excuse for someone to stop choosing him. Changing is not a mistake. Evolving is not a reason to be abandoned. But a woman who no longer desires you, who's already comparing you to someone else, needs a justification. And saying you've changed too is the softest way to stab you in the soul, without getting her hands dirty. And this is where you have to make the choice that changes everything. You can keep justifying what no longer makes sense. Or you can look in the mirror and answer, calmly but firmly, yes, I've changed, because I no longer tolerate what I used to stay quiet about. Because now I see what I used to deny. Because I'm no longer the man who kneels for a woman who stopped respecting him. That's the line that separates a defeated man from a man who's awake. Don't expect her to understand it. Don't expect her to acknowledge it. Don't even expect her to stay. The only thing you have to do is stop surrendering, because no one can take your respect unless you hand it over. And if you're still stuck there, trapped in soft phrases that hide cruel actions, it's because you haven't made the decision yet, the one you don't say out loud, the one you feel, the decision to take back your center, your strength, your voice. Remember this forever. When a woman tells you that you've changed too, it's because she's already gone. She's just trying to find a way to leave without looking like the villain. Don't give her that gift. Don't give her your silence, or your guilt, or your automatic forgiveness. Hold on to your truth, because at this point in the story, it's no longer about her. It's about you, about what you're going to allow, what you're going to tolerate, and who you're going to be from this moment on. After hearing, "You've changed too," after carrying guilt that isn't yours, and staying silent in the face of manipulation disguised as introspection, comes the moment when she no longer needs to justify anything. Because the fire is gone, the desire is gone, the shame is gone. All that's left is a phrase, spoken with the calm of someone who's already made up her mind, but hasn't walked away yet. We've reached the 8th point of this video, and it's, "I love you, but I'm not in love with you." At this stage, there's no disguise, no mystery. This is the phrase most men hear when everything is already lost, but they still refuse to accept it. She doesn't say it to open a dialogue. She says it to close the story without seeming cruel. It's her way of saying goodbye without guilt, of sticking around a little longer, without really being there. Because by saying she loves you, she soothes your wound. But by clarifying that she's not in love, she frees herself from the responsibility of choosing you again. And you, if you lack clarity, if you're still clinging to the little that's left, become an emotional beggar surviving on scraps disguised as affection. "I love you, but I'm not in love with you" isn't tenderness. It's the final sentence. It's confirmation that her body is no longer yours, that her soul is somewhere else, even if she still cooks at home or sleeps beside you. It's the most elegant way to say, "I care about you, but I no longer desire you." And if you, instead of standing tall, decide to win her back, to fight harder, to revive what's dead, the only thing you achieve is turning yourself into an emotional clown, a sad actor in a story whose ending is already written. Here, you need to take one clear, immediate action. Just one. Don't ask why. Don't look for explanations. Don't accept half a truth as if it were hope. Simply respond with clarity. "Then don't love me, because I wasn't born to be loved halfway." That phrase, said calmly and without drama, is the declaration of a man who understands, who doesn't beg, who doesn't compete with ghosts, and most of all, who refuses to be just part of the background in a woman's life when she's no longer choosing him. But for that response to be real, for it not to just be wounded pride talking, you need to adopt a mindset that isn't taught in schools or found in motivational quotes. It's the mindset of a man who chooses himself first, who doesn't measure his worth by the love he receives, but by the respect he demands, who doesn't break over a confused woman because he's already found himself, and that man doesn't go back. Don't seek comfort. Don't ask for more time. Don't try to reignite what's already burned out, because if a woman tells you she loves you, but she's not in love with you, the only thing left is for you to be in love with yourself, to see yourself, to rise, to close that door with the strength of someone who no longer needs to be accepted because he has chosen himself, not out of reaction, out of decision, out of self-respect. Accepting that a woman tells you she loves you, but is no longer in love, is a blow to the center of your identity. Because you gave it all, you were loyal, you worked hard, you showed up, but she no longer feels anything for you. And when you finally let go of that half-alive relationship, when you take the first step toward your own recovery, the challenge isn't over, because the most silent and most destructive enemy shows up, your own desire to keep believing, to keep waiting, to keep reading signals where there are no messages left. We've reached the 9th point of this video, and it's, I don't know what's happening to me with you. That phrase feels magical. It gives you hope, makes you believe there's still something special between you, that she still has doubts, that she's not entirely sure about leaving. But the truth is much harsher. That phrase isn't confusion. It's emotional manipulation in its most seductive form. It's the perfect bait to keep you from closing the chapter, to keep you engaged, to keep you hoping, and worst of all, to keep you acting like you still matter, while she's already replaced you in her desire, even if not yet in her routine. I don't know what's happening to me with you is the most convenient excuse for a woman who's already emotionally involved with someone else, but still wants to keep you as a backup plan, not because she loves you, not because she needs you, but because she likes knowing you're there, because it makes her feel safe, because it feeds her ego, and you, caught in that game, keep doing favors, reaching out, proving you're still around, when in reality, you're no longer part of her story, just part of her list of options. This is where many men collapse, because they still want to believe there's something, that not all is lost, and they justify that phrase with self-deceptions that repeat like mantras. She's just confused. She hasn't healed yet. She needs time. No, brother, she's not confused. She knows perfectly well she no longer desires you, but she also doesn't want to let you go completely, because letting go means losing control. And if there's one thing a woman in emotional imbalance can't tolerate, it's losing her grip on you. Breaking this pattern isn't about stopping your feelings, it's about no longer obeying desire as if it were law. About no longer acting like that phrase is an invitation. It's not. It's a broken mirror reflecting your need, not her love. And if you keep responding, if you keep investing in that uncertainty she's crafting, you'll end up stuck in an emotional limbo where there's no fire, but also no closure. Just exhaustion, just anxiety, just a slow erosion of your self-respect. So hear me clearly. If she ever told you, I don't know what's happening to me with you, don't overanalyze, don't reply. Don't build castles in the sky off a phrase designed only to keep you weak, because while you interpret, she already decided. And if you don't choose to, if you don't take a firm stance, you become the man who lives on pause, in wait, in limbo. And that man no longer lives, he only survives. And you, if you're here watching this, you didn't come to survive. You came to reclaim your strength, and that starts by stopping your belief in a woman who doesn't even believe herself anymore. If you've made it this far, there's no turning back, because now you know. Now you've heard, word for word, the true meaning behind those phrases so many men keep ignoring. You can't say it was confusion. You can't just blame her without looking at what you allowed. Because yes, she may have lied, but you chose to believe. And now there's only one decision left to make. Keep sleeping, begging for affection in a relationship that no longer chooses you, or wake up, rise, and start respecting yourself as the man you once were, and can still become. This isn't a video for everyone. Many tapped out before the 3rd point, because they can't handle the truth, because they're still searching for comfort, not clarity, but not you. You stayed until the end, and that puts you on another level. The level of men who no longer want to live in doubt, the ones who'd rather lose a relationship than lose themselves. So make it clear in the comments. Write, I won't lie to myself anymore, and tell me what country you're watching from. Not for ego, for presence. Because when a man publicly claims his truth, real change begins. I'm Celia, and this is your House of Wisdom, a space where we don't cry over what's lost, we reclaim what's still worth saving. Your energy, your respect, your center. I'm not here to comfort you, I'm here to shake you, because only the man who's willing to be uncomfortable with the truth is capable of transforming from the root. Subscribe now. Be part of this community that doesn't surrender to manipulation or kneel for someone else's desire. Share this video with that friend who still hasn't realized he's living with a woman who already left, even if she still says, I love you. Because maybe what you just heard is exactly what he needs to finally wake up. And don't leave just yet. Watch the 2 videos that will pop up on screen. Pick the one that makes you the most uncomfortable. Because right there, in what you don't want to face, is exactly what you need to hear. This conversation doesn't end here. It's just beginning.